Heated rivalry has consumed my every thought and we need to talk about it. Hey guys, I'm Bia, welcome back to my channel, and today I bring you an analysis of the first 3 episodes of Heated Rivalry. It is so hard to pronounce this word. Since the day I first watched the first episode, I've been completely obsessed and I've watched the show like 5 more times since then, which is kind of insane, but I have been obsessed. I just can't get enough of them, so yeah. If you like the video, please share it, leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe. So I'll be dividing this video into some parts. The first part being about the episodes and about the relationships, the second part being about the personal lives of the characters, and the third part being my opinion on the first 3 episodes. In this show we have 2 main couples, those being Shane and Ilya, and then Kip and Scott Hunter. Now, I know that Kip and Scott Hunter aren't really like a main couple, but they will be important for Shane and Ilya's development, and we have a full episode dedicated to their relationship, so I'll keep them as a main character couple, main couple. Jumping right into the first episode, let's start with Ilya and Shane. So Ilya is Russian and Shane is Canadian, and they're both hockey players trying to go pro. So they both meet when they're 17, and their first interaction is when Shane is introducing himself to Ilya.
Right before a game, it's fine. No, actually, I don't think that they're playing. I don't even know where they meet.
Later on, after finals, where Russia wins against Canada, Ilya comes in first and then Shane comes in second, but they both have very promising futures and they're going to very good teams, which are also rivals, which, you know, spices it up a little bit. And that night, after they're talking and after they have like this party and event and all that, they both go to the gym, not knowing each other would be there. And this is where you start seeing their whole prospects into the relationship. Like, we have a moment where Ilya gives a little bit of his water to Shane. He demands that he drinks more, and Shane just obeys it. So we have already their dynamic in which Ilya is very dominant and Ilya is more submissive. Ilya teases Shane a lot and Shane loves to obey. This is basically the dynamic we'll see throughout the series, and also we start having the insane shared looks. I absolutely adore these because they carry so much emotion. You don't even need words to understand what they're thinking. Oh my god, I love these. I am absolutely obsessed with them. But anyway, this will be a constant throughout the series. Thank God, because I love them, you know. I truly love them. 6 months after Canada winning against Russia, Ilya and Shane shoot a campaign together. Now, what's interesting about this is that it was Ilya's idea for them to shoot a campaign together. Okay, now this is insane behavior from Ilya's part. Like, why would you suggest this? Is it maybe because you're completely obsessed with him? And okay, note, at this time they hadn't even kissed or actually did anything. They go to the showers and we have an insane scene, which is just like them intensely staring at each other. But then in the next scene, when they're near the lockers, Shane says that they better forget everything. Ilya asks him what's his room number.
And he says like, well, if I appear there by 9, and he says like, am I open? And he says, am I not?
Like, bring me with you, okay? Nah, that's too much, sorry. But this is basically the real beginning of the obsession and the intense binding with each other that will follow, yeah? We'll have so much more of that. Get ready, get comfortable. When he enters Shane's room, they just start instantly making out. This is Shane's first time with a guy, and they're both 18, but Ilya has so much more experience than him. So he might feel kind of scared. Ilya is very caring, which is what you would expect, but it's not what you would think he would do, especially because Ilya asks, do you think I'm an asshole? And he's like, oh, I know you're an asshole. They do some stuff and they're still on last name basis. Shane is super scared that Ilya will tell someone about this.
And honestly, obviously he won't, because Ilya
How would you even consider that? Do you think that it would be benefic to Ilya for people to know that he's hooking up with his biggest rival? Like, if both of you aren't out of the closet, he wouldn't say it. But I get it, like, you're panicking because this is your first time with a guy. This is very intense. I get it, okay, baby. I'm not judging you. I love you. So Ilya gets stressed and he leaves with a good night. And that's it. Then, while at lunch with his parents, Shane lies to them and says he got into a rabbit hole of unlikely animals becoming friends. Now, where would that sound familiar? I wonder who this might be about, unlikely animals becoming lovers. Yeah, no, it doesn't ring a bell. Are you joking? Are you joking? Oh! Then the whole family talks about the Ilya interview, and Shane just keeps almost smiling, but then he says he's an asshole. Yeah, good coverage when you're all smiley and giggly. Like, my guy, you're not fooling anyone. Everybody, I don't know how people were so blind. I don't know, I think I would have guessed it. 4 months later, they have a conference, and this is where you start seeing a little bit more of a partnership rather than just sexual pleasure between the two of them. We start seeing a little bit of help from Shane's side because Ilya is asked the question and he's kind of stuck on the answer. He doesn't know how to answer it, and so Shane assists a little bit and helps him to figure out what would be the best way for him to answer. And so this is kind of like a partnership growing between them, which is very intimate and very sweet, especially because Shane's very empathetic character, so this comes very naturally to him. But it's nice to see him help his rival, also his hookup. But anyway, later on they play against each other and Ilya teases him again right before telling him what's his room number. And Scott Hunter, which will be a very important character further on, hears it and asks Shane what's that about. And after that he tells him that he's in the room next door. Well, that's fun, So when Shane goes to Ilya's room, he's completely paranoid, and Ilya even asks him, like, are you being followed? Like, what's your problem? And just when Shane is about to crash out, telling him that Scott Hunter is in the room next door, he just crashes into his arms and they start making out. They do some stuff, and then when they're about to do, like, the deed, you know what I mean? Ilya notices that Shane's scared, or at least uncertain. And so they leave it for another day. A day where Scott Hunter isn't in the room next door, because that would be insane. And Ilya suggests that the next time could be at Shane's house, to which he completely panics with the idea of someone finding out or seeing Ilya enter his building or guessing that he would be there to meet him. He loses it completely. I absolutely get it, okay babe, it's stressing, but probably everything would be okay. Then when he's about to get off the room because he's completely stressed, Ilya takes his phone and puts his number in it, and then the contacts are named Jane for Shane and Lily for Ilya. Now this is crazy, okay? So now they have each other's numbers. Yeah, I love that. Oh my god, anyway. When they're supposed to play against each other, they get separated by a huge snowstorm, making it impossible for Ilya to fly to Montreal, so they have just separate plans. Shane has dinner with Aiden and his wife, and Svetlana comes to surprise Ilya. She does see him talking to Jane, which will be important. Svetlana and knowing about Jane, this will all add up in the future. 4 months later in Las Vegas, these are some big time jumps, people. Like, I was kind of confused while watching it, but anyway, Shane wins Rookie of the Year, so basically the youngest player of the year, something like that. And Ilya doesn't even go to the party, so Shane goes off to the roof looking for him. Ilya lashes out, but when Shane is giving him a handshake, they kiss, and Shane storms off completely pissed because someone could have seen them. And yeah, I completely get it, okay? They were out in the wild, they were both in their suits. Like, if someone took a picture of that, that wouldn't be great, They would be forced to come out, and that's off. This is basically how we end the first episode. Here's a view, check it out, Hollander. I can do a Russian. I can do a Russian accent. I didn't even know how I tried that. Now let's go on to the second. Now, going on to the second episode, we start in summer 2011, and they're both in their hometowns, but they keep flirting via text. In fall, they just play against each other, but Shane is avoiding Ilya's suggestion for them to come over to his place. Winter is just texting again, until in spring, Shane thinks about inviting him, but then he gets too anxious and he ends up doing nothing. So just like a lot of miscommunications and all of that, it's giving normal people. We skip right next to fall 2012, and now we're getting extremely freaky over text, okay? This is insane. I didn't need to see the things I saw. Then a huge time jump to winter 2013, but from here to spring, we also just keep texting. Then we have such a funny scene, which is a guy from Hollander's team saying, "If Rosanov f***s you tonight," and Shane's just like, "Wait, what? What?" And Hayden is like, "I think you meant fucks with, buddy." And I'm like, oh, if you know the context between and the timing of this is so funny. Now, fall 2013, it's when we have like a big thing. We start by seeing a flirting before the game through text, and the guys from both teams start noticing that they are texting constantly with somebody. And later on, after the game, Ilya goes to Shane's house for the first time. They have an insanely intimate moment that I am obviously not going to narrate or explain, in which they made it very clear that they had consent throughout the whole act, asked many times. Now, when Ilya's cab is about to arrive, they say goodbye to each other with a kiss. This is the second time they are saying goodbye with a kiss, but the first time Shane was completely pissed at him, and this time it is very happy between the two of them because it's in a private environment and they're both calm and they're just happy. Now, winter 2014, Olympics in Russia. When Shane tries to talk to him, he deflects and he tells him to go away, lashes out on him, and Ilya is completely pissed because he just lost and his father is pissed at him, but we'll talk about it on the personal lives matter. But then they reunite again at an award show, and while they're on stage presenting an award, Ilya teases Shane and he gets completely pissed. He's like,
"You don't even talk to me in real life, and you can only talk to me when we're being filmed and when there's a camera pointed at us in this clown show."
But then when he's completely crashing out, Ilya just tells him that he wants him to, do some pretty nasty things to him. And they just start talking about that. They completely ignore the fact that he was crashing out.
Okay, hey, so this is me editing, and earlier today I was talking to a friend about this scene, and she was like, okay, this scene was so rude, I didn't like it because Ilya completely dismisses Shane's feelings, like, we just skip right through it. And when I first saw it, I also thought it was insane, but then I was thinking about it, and when I was answering her, I thought like, this scene represents the fact that they're still just very much casual, and Ilya doesn't want to deal with any of Shane's feelings. Like, he's like, I don't owe you anything, so let's just so basically this is still the dynamic they have, and I think this scene was to show that Ilya really doesn't want to deal with emotional baggage, because that way it means they are getting serious, and that's really not what Ilya wants. So he completely dismisses Shane and Shane's feelings, and I really think it's because of that. But yeah, I didn't say that in the video, so thought it would be better if I just added it into it. So yeah, that's it. Bye. See you on the next clip.
But then we also have like the genetic scene where he says like,
"Oh, so being boring is genetic. Oh, genetic."
But Shane's eyes are insane in that scene. He transmits so much through his looks. I love you, Hudson Williams. I am obsessed with you. Like, you're currently my whole gallery. Maybe I shouldn't say that. That's kind of creepy,
Especially because I'm aspiring to be an actress.
I swear, like, his eyes bring so much yearning. It's crazy. Then we have another crazy intimate scene, but after that Shane tries again to, get something out of Ilya. Ask him if he does like Russia, if he does really have to go there for the summer, if he enjoys being there. And he's like,
does that even matter? Like, I just need to go there. It's home.
And I'm like, no, baby, you don't. You actually don't, okay? But yeah, I get it. I love Shane. I love Ilya. Oh my god, I love this character so much. Ilya just keeps deflecting and tells him that he needs to sleep because he doesn't want to talk anymore. So they don't even say goodbye with a kiss. They only say goodbye with like a good night. And so Shane gets really sad, and that's the end of the episode. Like, why are we ending it like this? Now, on to the third episode, where we have a little bit more of spotlight to Kip and Scott's story. So this episode will be dedicated only to Scott and Kip's relationship and how they met and all of that. We time jump back to Russia, to the Olympics, just to go 4 months before that. So another time jump. So Scott meets Kip for the first time in the smoothie shop where Kip's working, and he just starts right on flirting with him, like right there. And then a guy comes in screaming like, holy shit, was that Scott Hunter? And then Maria, which is a girl who's working there, she's like, girl. The comments from Kip's friends are actually immaculate. Like, they're so funny. He comes to the shop again and we have another flirt. Then he goes to the bar with Elena, which I love. She's my girl. And they talk about the interaction. Then they're like, aren't you being a little bit delusional? But then Kip says that Maria also thought that. So she's like, okay, she does know more than you, so maybe you're right. And I'm like, yes, they're flirting, okay. He comes to the shop yet again.
Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you.
But then, this time, he stays there to answer to some emails. Oh, okay, Scott Hunter, I see you. I know what you're doing. They talk about stereotypes and spreakers and how lazy they need to be or need to not be to be one of them. You know what I meant? So Kip shoots an insane flirt, and just when he thinks that Scott hated it, he invites him to his game. Him and Elena go to his game, and
it's such a funny scene because like Scott waves at him, and Elena's like, for God's sake, just wave at.
Now we have Scott's point of view, and 2 days later in Boston, Ilya teases him, telling him that it's a shame he can't play at home every game, and then a day later, it's Shane who's teasing him. Like, Shane, why are you teasing Scott Hunter? And he tells him that he's starting to sound like him. And Shane's like, what did you mean by that? And he's like, you know what I meant. And then they start a fight right after the game. Kip has a catering event and he's nervous. They see each other there and they meet at the back. And then when they're just going to this restaurant, there's a huge queue. So Scott just says, what do you think about ordering in? So they go to his house, which is crazy. Okay, again, bold move. The next morning, Scott just makes a huge confession, very intense confession. He tells him that he wants him a lot. He likes him a lot. Kip takes it very well, saying that he would love to be there after his practice and after his game and all of that, which is, wow, okay. Okay, we're going fast. Later on, they try to go see like this art exposition, but Scott just completely freaks out because he's too afraid of being seen in public with another guy. He just can't deal with that right now, the pressure and the opinions from the people. He thinks that those matter a lot, and of course they do. Sure, because you're a public person, but you're just yourself, okay? It's okay, baby, it's okay. He said like he just wasn't able to handle the situation, but he knows that it is not okay to be like that. And then Kip just tells him like, it's okay, we'll figure this out, it's okay, we just need a little bit more time. Then Kip's super funny, and Elena and Kip go to this fundraiser in which Scott is also in, and Elena dances with Scott and tells him that Kip loves him, but he's completely miserable because he wouldn't tell him, but he hates being kept a secret, and he's having to lie to everyone he knows, and he hates that, but he does love him. And then Scott just has like a little bit of an existential crisis there, thinking that he's doing some there. But then after the fundraiser, they go to his house again and they have a convo where they discuss their future, and Kip has to go home because he's very upset. He cries and hugs his father, and it's such a sweet scene. And later on we see Scott looking out the window on Kip's birthday because he said that he wasn't going to the bar, but then he just stands there looking through the window like, stop that, okay, no. But he doesn't enter, and that's how the episode ends. Okay, that was insane. Okay, we'll jump right on to the personal lives of the characters, which I will be analyzing. It's right on the first episode that we start having hints of Ilya's family dynamics. His brother calls him asking for more money. So basically the dynamic here is Ilya pays his brother to take care of his father because he's not in Russia, so he can't see if his father's doing well. So he pays his brother to do that, which is kind of concerning. Like, why wouldn't your brother do that for free? Yeah, he's suffering, okay? But his brother spends most of the money on drugs and partying. Even though he has a daughter, he has a family, and he has a father to take care of, and he doesn't care about any of that. He just cares about spending his brother's money. Yay, great! Ilya's father is a harsh and judgmental man. He treats Ilya miserably, making him feel like he's never enough and making it seem like everything is always his fault.
Oh, my dear Ilya, the daddy issues, I see you, girl.
And Ilya takes all of this to heart. Later on, when he's mocking Shane for being so perfect on an interview, his brother calls again, asking for more money. Like, what do you want, my house? Now, in the second episode, we have a conversation between Ilya and his father, and it is so depressing, where we get to see that he has Alzheimer's. We also get to see how cruel he is towards Ilya, and he keeps blaming everything on him, like the fact that they lost, it's all Ilya's fault, not the team's. He also keeps saying that Ilya is always looking for someone to blame but himself, which makes him look like he's always trying to play the victim. That's crazy. But thankfully, Svetlana is a big rock for Ilya because she knows that nothing will ever be okay for Ilya's father. Like, he won't accept anything. And now, a bit more about Ilya's personality. He is in fact very cocky, he's very confident, but he's also someone who feels so much and struggles to show how much he feels, or actually the littlest bit of how he feels. He was taught to be very strong, like, boys don't cry and all of that. He was taught not to show his true emotions and true feelings, to keep it all bottled inside, especially because his father was very hard on him and never gave him space for him to be vulnerable and to be honest. And even when Shane tries to get some information in episode 2, after they meet up at his house, this is all very much like a big deflection from Ilya's side. He doesn't say anything. This is basically how Ilya's character develops in these 3 episodes, but we have so much more in the next 3, so we'll talk about that later. Now, onto Shane's family. They appear to be very healthy in contrast to Ilya's family. They are very stable. He has a great relationship with his parents. They have lunch every week. They're pretty chill. His mother loves hockey and hates how cocky Ilya Rosanov is, and his father is just very chill. He loves his son and he's very chill. He's just like,
Everything's okay, everything's fine. I love unlikely creatures being friends.
Now, a bit about Shane is that, confirmed by Rachel Reed, who is the author, he is on the spectrum. He's a neurodivergent character, and from what I searched, he's supposedly a good representation, but I saw people saying that he was great representation, that they felt very much seen. So some of the moments we catch in this first half of the season is, for example, when he's folding his clothes, or the very short phrases he replies with. So he's basically just a very high masking character. People feel seen because he's very real. He's also a very empathetic character. He also loves to obey. He's just such a sweetheart. He's like a teddy bear. I love Shane. Now, my opinion. So I was hooked since the first episode. God forbid a girl likes to see two hot men being sneakily obsessed with each other. I love how we can feel that these are real people. I think this show is so liked because people feel the realness in their characters. We can see flaws. We can see that they're not perfect. We can see that they have expectations just like yours. They're not like going on a crazy adventure. They're not like having insanely high standards. They're just waiting for each other. They're just flirting over text. They're simple. They're just like us. They're real. And so I think that's the reason most people like this show, besides the fact that they're adorable and we love the dynamic between the two of them and they're super pretty and all of that. But I just feel like they're very real and we can resonate with their problems because they're real. Again, I like how we see a little bit about Ilya's family's problems and also about Shane's problem with like just accepting himself, which will be further talked about in the next episodes. But we see a little bit of struggle there for him to accept who he is, and that's something that many people can resonate with. And so they feel this love for this character because they're not just insanely unrealistic people. I don't know, they're just real people, okay? I just love this series. I love the development we get between the two of them. And not to forget Scott and Kip's story, which I also loved. I really like the two of them together. I like how we see the problems in their relationship. Like Kip obviously understands that he's not ready to come out, but he doesn't want to be kept as a secret. And also Scott knows that he adores Kip and he loves him, but he's not able to come out yet because he's too afraid of what people will say and think. So I love the dynamic we see throughout the show between the whole characters. I also love Kip's friends. All of Kip's friends are so funny. I can't deal with that. But that was basically it for this first 3 episodes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please again leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and share this video. I will be doing obviously a second video on the next 3 episodes because I am obsessed with this, guys. If you stayed till here, please comment a hockey stick. Yeah, can we do that? So please comment that. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.